right, Ron Goodall, FightHype.com. I'm here with my guy Darius Fulghum, who makes his ring return this week, May 30th against Bek in a WBA title eliminator. And first and foremost, I just gotta ask, man, what made you want to take this fight?
Well, I mean, it's the fight that makes sense. We're both a Golden Boy. It's an easy fight to make, and Bek is a credible guy. He's ranked top 10, like all the sanctioning bodies. He's ranked ahead of me in the WBA. It's a title eliminator. I mean, we put all these things together, and what I'm trying to accomplish, I mean, it only makes sense. And then ultimately, this is a fight that I believe that I win. So this is something me and my team been talking about for a while. I wasn't sure when it was going to happen, but when the opportunity came up, we jumped on it quickly.
hmm for a lot of people who don't really know about your background, right? Like you kind of remind me a little bit of like Brandon Lee, a guy who did tremendous in the amateurs. You could have went to the Olympics and all this stuff, but you went the college route, a little bit, and you're a
Yeah.
college grad and you went to the schooling, but you still boxed, you still did your thing, and you got signed to Golden Boy. And from that, you've been undefeated, 14 wins, 12 knockouts. I mean, having great wins, and pretty much within I think a couple years, you're already in a title, eliminator. So this fast track that you're going, is it because you feel like you didn't go through the amateurs and go to the Olympic route and get like a medal that you want to kind of expedite to kind of get your name up, or you just feel like your skill is at that level?
It's kind of like a little mix of both, honestly, because unfortunately for the Olympic round, I was on Team USA, but I just didn't get the shot for the Olympics because of COVID, it kind of ruined my opportunity. I won the Olympic trials, I was in position to go, to secure my spot for the Olympics, but COVID, derailed that, and so I had to kind of just, let that go and kind of move on. But um, I kind of want to fast track too, in the same reason because I really do believe in my skill set and I believe what I'm capable of. Especially in this division. I've been putting on some really good performances, right? And uh, like I really know what I'm capable of. I've been in the ring with some top guys, and I know what I can bring to the table. And so there's no need to keep BSing around, right? Like fans will say that all the time. They talk about that about, guys fighting, cab drivers doing this and that. And then I think even for me, right, taking this fight, oh, it's too early. Why is it too early? Right? I don't believe it's too early for me, right? Because I really believe it's a fight that I win. Um, and ultimately, that's what we're going to see May 30th. So I don't think there's an issue with me trying to dare to be great and trying to take the tough fights because that's what boxing is about.
You have some good wins. Von Alexander, Atlantis Fox, I think recently just fought. Um, uh,
Yeah,
um,
Pearson and Winfrey Harris. Yeah, I've been with some tough guys who've been in there with some really good guys. And I think with the opponents that I fought, like when you compare performance to some people, I feel like I've dominated way better than them. Like I really showed like a difference of levels. But then again, I'll always go back to them discrediting the opponent. But the good thing
mhm.
we got May 30th is this is a guy that you can't necessarily really take away from, right? I mean, he's an Olympic silver medalist. He's been accomplished. He had his loss, but he avenged that. But this is a guy that is, like I said, is ranked in all the sanctioning bodies, not just one of them.
Mhm.
So when I win and when I win looking good, what can anybody say? So
Mhm.
I want to make a dominant performance and make a splash this fight.
When it comes to the fight with Bektemir, I believe you're the underdog in this case, right? And I think they might be just going off of maybe just experience or like what he has done professionally
Right.
compared to you. I mean, do you like that idea? Because I'm assuming that when those other fights was made, you were probably favored. So would this be the first time you're the underdog?
This will be the first time that I'm the underdog in my pro career, right? But I do want to mention this is something that's not new to me. Right, I've been an underdog my entire life. This is something that I've been in this position before. This is not something that's like oh man, like they're rooting against me, whatever. No, I thrive in a situation like this. I want them to kind of count me out. I'm glad when I finally seen that, right? Because this is again where they count this like a 50-50 fight, and so I think the performance that I bring on really showed like, man, we thought this was gonna be a close fight, right? So that's why I love it because it's something I could be in a position to showcase that. And no disrespect at all to Beck. I think Beck is a talented guy, tough fighter, very durable, has a lot of skill set. Um, but I have to, in my mind, truly believe I'm gonna win this fight, and I do.
I know Bektemir, only has one loss, and it was to Gabe Rosado. He got caught by, a really good shot by a veteran, which he later avenged. But he does have that kind of awkward Uzbekistan style that we've seen kind of give certain fighters in recent time, trouble. And even in the amateurs recently, they've been kind of dominating through the Olympics. So, what do you think that you'll be able to bring that he hasn't seen out of his, I think 16 fights he's had?
I'll tell you what I bring to the table is I feel like I'm fearless. Like I'm not afraid of Beck at all. And I think I look at a lot of his fights, a lot of the guys look very timid in there with him. Um, and you're right, Uzbekistan is dominated even in the amateur circuit. I look at Bektimir's style, I do feel like his style is a very in and out, um, very in and out amateurs type style. And again, and I say that in like in a disrespectful way, right? Because I said they dominate in the amateurs, but he has a very in and out jerky type movement. I've seen that before. I've seen it a lot. I've been through the amateur circuit too, so it's nothing that I'm familiar with. But I think I'm more geared for the pro style, for the pro game. When we talking about this a 12 round fight, I'm just not sure how sustainable that is for 12 rounds. And I think I'm gonna just put that pressure on him that he hasn't seen before.
Yeah, I know we've seen good fights like Crawford versus Masvidal, which was American style versus Uzbekistan style. And I believe that they did a right thing by putting this fight right before the Caleb Plant, and the Charlo fight that would also be in Vegas, the following day. And you would be essentially, you get past Bektemir, mandatory for Caleb Plant. Granted, because he's the interim, and then there's
Right,
Canelo just following.
right.
So at some point you get past Bektemir, you're going to be looking at maybe a Caleb Plant, maybe a Charlo if he gets past Thomas Lamana. There's some marketable names like Edgar Berlanga, Munguia. I mean, Canelo if he graced the
Right,
gods, if he's like,
right, right.
you know. But what do you think? Do you think that getting past the Bektemir will allow you to get a fight with one of these guys? And is there one that kind of stands out a little bit more?
It would have to, honestly. Like, and I'm glad you said the same thing. You know, the plant, Charlo, they're both fighting right after me, so it kind of always gives the complete eye test of like, man, look, we just seen this performance here. Next day, we're watching this. How can these guys line up? Would this be a good matchup? And I think it will. Plant's the interim, so the automatically winner of this fight will put us in a position to fight him, right? Even a guy like Charlo, I'm from Houston, he's from Houston. That's an easy fight that could be made. That would make a lot of sense and would sell extremely well in Houston. A lot of other big names that you mentioned too. If there's anybody, honestly, I probably want to fight would probably be Berlanga for real. Uh, he's just a guy how he kind of carries himself, not necessarily too much of a fan of. Don't know him personally, but out of anybody, if I had to pick and choose, it would probably be him. But good thing for me, I trust Golden Boy. I think regardless of what happens, the winner of this fight is going to. I mean, we're the top 168 in Golden Boy, so winner of this fight is to really show Golden Boy, okay, who y'all really going to push?
Yeah.
It's me or Beck. Winner of this fight gets the big fights. I mean, it's just simple as that. I mean, that's how the game gonna go, you know. So that's what I think makes this fight so special, so important.
What's really interesting, right? There's a timeline that I don't know if it's really out there or whatnot, but I remember you hit me up and you were like, "I'm gonna go spar Jose Uzataki,"
Yeah.
and pretty much he was getting ready for David Benavidez, and at that point, he's getting ready to fight David. He recently fought Caleb Plant, right? And you got to spar him, and I believe he failed his drug test. I think a little bit after, so. Like, I don't want to say like it was done intentionally, but some people might look at it as like you sparred the juiced up version, or he was, you know what I mean? Just going to start, but that experience, right? Like you've been around the scene, you sparred, former world champions, you campaign at heavyweight, when you were younger. So in this case, right, it only makes sense that you get these opportunities. Do you think Oscar and Bernard, as much as they believe in you putting you in this fight, will immediately want to throw, one of their marquee guys right into one of those top fights, right away?
I'll tell you, I mean, honestly, to answer your question, it all depends what happens May 30th. You know,
Hmm.
the performance has to speak for themselves. There's got to be something the fans also want, right? And So, I mean, I can't answer that question. It's all about what happens May 30th. I believe, and it's something that I would push for, but and I believe I'll put the performance to make it happen. Um, but we'll see. I think they would though. Oscar's always been talking about making the big fights happen and the best fighting the best. So I think it's something if we start putting in his ear that he'll make happen for sure. One thing about
You-
Golden Boy I can respect is they've been people that they were. Stuff they said, things that we've asked for, they've held it, they've held up their end of the deal. So it's one thing I always respect about Golden Boy so far working with them.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I said, it feels like it happened so fast, but you're here, main event, Las Vegas, a fight that you want as what is
Yeah.
considered an underdog case, but um, what is those type of conversations that kind of they gave you, like De La Hoya and Bernard from fighting to setting you up here because they obviously have to believe in you and want to give you the opportunity to be on a big stage like this.
Explain again. I'm confused on the question that you're asking.
Oh, it's just like what are those type of conversations that you have because they are giving you everything, like the main event against a guy, which some promoters were like, well, your first main event should be like a guy that you should blow out the
Right.
water and things like that. But no, we're putting you on the betting odds against a tough guy and eliminator as the underdog, yada yada yada. When it should be the other way around. Like, what is the type of conversations you have with them, and what do they give you as advice, as in boxing and how to handle this?
They give me a lot of different advice in a lot of different areas, not just about fighting, but in terms of my career, like the main thing is we're really trying to tell them like, no, 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 we're your guys, and we're willing to risk that. We're willing to gamble on that, because we got to showcase that one another. And I'm not just going to be lip service. I don't ever want to do that. I never want to just be talking this and that. I want to be able to put myself in the ring and show it. So, and that's why we said we're letting them know, like, hey, look, we believe in ourselves, and we're not just gonna say, hey, Oscar, believe in me. I deserve to be believed in, right? Because that's a fairy tale. We gotta put ourselves in a position where it's like, no, no, Oscar Bernard, I'm telling you, this we're the future for Golden Boy. Golden Boy needs some more champions, and we're your guys, and we're willing to do what it takes to get there. And thankfully enough, Bekdamir is a tough guy, and he's up for all tasks and all fights too. So it made sense, So we're up to the task, and so are they. And I think that's what's gonna make this fight May 30th so special.
Did you get a chance to talk to Bernard of like what it was like when he was fighting around 160 and 175 and up and down, like because he's one of those guys around those divisions that held it down. So, um, did you get to kick you some game a little bit? Did you watch some of his fights growing up?
Yeah, I watched some of his fights. It's funny, especially having a relationship with Bernard. I remember asking him, and this wasn't actually too long ago, because I was doing some film study myself, and I was comparing the difference between when him and Roy Jones fought Antonio Tarver, right? And there was a big difference, and I was like, man, Roy Jones so twitchy, so fast, but he was having trouble dealing with a southpaw and landing his right hand. But Bernard had this way of being able to seem like he was laying his right hand at will with Tarver. But I was like, man, how does that make any sense? Roy Jones is the faster, twitchier guy. So that's something I'm asking now Bernard. I'm like, hey Bernard, man, I was watching the fight, man, and I was trying to figure out how he was able to land your right hand against the southpaw against Tarver like that. It was almost at will, but Roy Jones necessarily could had a lot of difficulties doing it. And so that was a lot of game that Bernard got to share with me on how he's able to do that. A lot of stuff was him again moving to his left, timing his foot, timing his step. Whenever he'd take his step coming this way, time it with his left hand. So everything then was all about timing. It was something he was able to show me too. So it's been good having those guys because if I have any questions, whether it be boxing related, business related, they are people that I can go and ask to. They've been through it and done it.
Awesome. Well, look, I'll be remiss not to ask you about probably the biggest fight that's happening in your division and your just
Yeah,
thoughts. Canelo versus Terrence. It's obviously a fight where essentially it's holding up your division, but it's the biggest fight in your division that I
yeah,
guess that can be made with like without David because David Benavidez is
right.
not there. But it's gonna go down. Potentially, this could open up a lot of belts if Crawford would win and vacate it or some sort of thing, or or things of that nature. Or soon maybe Canelo retires and all of those open up. But uh, before that happens, do you have a prediction on how this fight plays out?
Man, it's very hard, right? I think what makes fights like this entertaining because you can't help but have just a lot of theories and guesses on what you think is going to happen. One thing we do know for sure is that Canelo does have a lot of issues with guys that can box that are movers. And I would expect that Crawford being a smaller guy, Crawford has a lot of tools in his arsenal, very versatile, that he'll be able to be able to mix it up. I mean, we seen when he fought Skull, had a lot of problems cutting the ring off, being able to put Skull into a corner and catch him. I think Crawford has the ability to do that a little with a little bit more flash and finesse than I think Skull did. Right? I feel like Skull had a lot of the tools really to really take and win that fight, but he just didn't take advantage of the moment. Um, so I think Crawford does have the ability to do that, but there are weight classes for a reason. And we've seen Crawford coming up from 47 to 54. His Majimov, it didn't look as like dominant before, so it always makes you wonder. So okay, now you're coming up two more weight classes on top of that. So that's again what makes it very interesting because I think Crawford does have the skills to do it, but then again, you're just talking about you know the size of Canelo, and it's weird because Canelo is not like a big guy. You know, it's not like Canelo's like 5'9". It's not like he's a 6'2" solid guy. So, um, to long story short, answer your question, I'm a root for Crawford on this one. I think Crawford's got the skill sets to win it. Um, so that would be my prediction. But obviously, easily could be wrong. Canelo is all time great.
A very interesting thing that you can probably help me understand a little bit more at a certain level that you got to compete in wrestling. And, obviously you're a boxer.
Yeah,
Terrence definitely wrestles. I think in
yeah,
his gym, he has like this area where it's all wrestling. I've seen him
yeah,
wrestle big guys out at the top ring gym. So my question with you is like, when it comes to the wrestling knowledge, right?
yeah.
And
I
he's
would, I
obviously
would, I would beat Terrence Crawford in a wrestling match, bro. That's what you're gonna ask me. If we
I
was a wrestler,
mean,
yes, I'd beat Terrence Crawford. I know that's what you're gonna ask me. We talk about
I
the
mean,
poll. Yes,
I mean, look, I mean,
I got.
Terrence
I
here's,
want to. I want to see him for real. For real. I want to see him on the mat. Honestly.
I mean, look, I mean, I'm sure, Terrence will hear it and then,
Ah,
he's gonna run up to you, I'm sure you talk to Terrence, you know how Terrence is, I heard you want to wrestle and right there on the spot. So with that wrestling knowledge, right? How do you utilize that in a way where you can actually take advantage of it in a clinch when you're facing a bigger guy on a technical aspect, right? Like, what could Terrence do to, I guess, neutralize some of the assets of facing a bigger guy like Canelo?
I tell you one thing about wrestling. And it's something that I use. I actually use wrestling a lot in how I fight. Right. It's a lot of. I do a lot of hand fighting. I do a lot of arm drags. I do a lot of head control. Right. One thing about wrestling, which you do learn a lot, is on how to use somebody else's weight and their strengths against you. I mean, against them. So a lot of times when I'm in the clinch, I can feel somebody's exerting way too much energy, and I can feel on how to nullify that. Right. So a lot of times when I'm in the clinch, right, and somebody's using a lot, I kind of go with the flow. Right, you go ahead and exert yourself as much as you want to, because I know again it's a 12 round fight. It's not sustainable. Like anybody that's wrestled, trust me, when we wrestled back in high school and at the higher level, it's 3 rounds. And you tell me wrestling like in college is 3 minutes to 2-2. In high school we did 2-2-2. It's almost 6 minutes, and that was some of the most exhausting thing I've ever done in my life. Right, just wrestling is not sustainable for the long term. So there's a lot of tricks even that I use on how to burn a lot of guys out, make them use a lot more energy than they need to. Or a lot of times I'll be able to arm drag. I'll be in the clinch. I'll grab an elbow and I'll push them along this way to control them, move them this way, find openings to land certain shots. Or if they're going to be here, we seen. I know this isn't wrestling, but we seen when Plant fought McCumbee a lot of the inside game. He did a lot of hand fighting, right? Anytime McCumbee was here, he was pinning his gloves up against his head, boom, controlling, then landing the shots. That's a lot of stuff even that I've taken from wrestling that I've learned and adapted to my boxing style. So hopefully I answer your question.
Yeah, no, I think more. Don't get too
Yeah,
much
yeah.
game. You know,
Oh, my bad, my bad.
I mean, no, you good. I just,
But
you
but
know,
but honestly, like um wrestling is so important. I think in boxing, like it translates so much a lot of things that I've learned, honestly. So I think it does help. And the fact that Crawford is a wrestler, I think is a big attribute on dealing with stronger guys because he seems like he's also strong. Any wrestlers, and you feel how strong they are, just physically inside. There could be some wrestlers they may not have like punching power. There's a difference. So somebody having like just
Hmm.
like devastating power and being just extremely strong on the inside. You can feel that, you know. And a lot of wrestlers are just naturally gifted strong. So as much as we talk about this weight thing, like I think Crawford seems to be like he's a strong guy. I seen clips of him like deadlifting like 400 something pounds in street clothes, you know. So and he was fighting 147. So I'm like, yeah, you can tell Crawford's a strong individual. So strength may not really be that big of a difference though.
Yeah. No, you broke down a lot of technical aspects, and I think that, he's more than well equipped, and I'm sure that, if there was an opportunity for you to fight or even wrestle Terrence, right? Just for
Yeah,
it.
I'm too curious. I haven't wrestled in a long time, but I want to see what he got.
Awesome. Well, look, Darius, I don't want to take too much time from you, but I do know that this week is going to be an exciting week for boxing, and you're going to be starting off with this banger of a fight with Bek and put the super middleweight division on notice if they
Yes,
haven't
sir.
already. And what do you want to tell the fans that'll be watching out?
Say anything. I want to say one thing to the fans, right? Um, Anybody watching this fight, I want to make it clear that, I started boxing pretty late. I started boxing when I was, 18 going on 19. Right when the time I started boxing, Bek was an Olympian, went to the Olympics 2016. It's right around the time I started boxing. And now here we are, almost, nine years later. And the message I want to show to the fans this fight is I really want to showcase that it's never too late to chase your dreams. Never. Never. This guy been boxing way longer than I have, right? So you watch this fight, plan on putting a dominant performance, just know it's never too late to chase your dreams. It's my main message I want to showcase this fight.
Yeah, and just mentioning right before I let you go. I mean, Rolly started boxing, he was judo, like you did wrestling.
Yeah.
And then after he fought guys that had a lot of experience like Ryan Garcia, multiple national champion, and just beat him. So, I mean,
Never too late. It's never. So that's what I want to showcase really this fight. It's never too late.
awesome. Where can he follow you on social media?
It's just my name at Darius Fulghum, Darius Fulghum.